In this video, we're going to be talking about what finally makes an avoidant come back, reflect, miss you, chase you, all of these things. Because it does happen, but it happens with avoidance especially when they start to feel emotionally safe and not pressured. When you stop chasing, they stop running. It's always the way, but there's more to it than that. And in this video, we're going to be diving into what makes them come back. So before I get into it, I'd like to let you know that I've got 30% on my one-to-one coaching at the moment until the end of August. So this is an opportunity for you to really have some support for whatever it is that you're going through with a relationship with somebody, maybe who's avoidant, maybe you've been through a breakup, you want someone to walk through this storm with you, unpack it, see your limiting beliefs, end the pattern, change the cycle. This is what we do. If you'd like any more information about my one-to-one coaching, you can find out on my website. Use the code August30. Also, I've got my Heartbreak Healers Club, which is the most powerful way of connecting, healing in community. If you'd like any more information about how you can join, you can find out in the link below. Okay, so what makes an avoidant finally come back and see you and reflect? Okay, so the thing is, like I've said many times before, when the relationship ends, there may be some relief. They might be feeling judged, criticised, all the things that they struggled with in childhood. This is what gets activated in them in a close, intimate relationship, especially when you start pointing out their survival strategies that don't work for you, that don't work when it comes to building connection. When you start to point those out, they start to feel threatened. They start to feel like they're not good enough. It reminds them of things they experienced long ago. And this isn't your fault. It actually is pointing them to something that they can heal and grow within themselves if they're open to it. And some avoidants do get to the point where they've seen themselves and met themselves so many times before in other relationships that they actually start to think, I really need to work out what this trigger is because it keeps coming up, happens every time. Maybe there's something to do with me that I need to understand, heal, be with in order to move forward and stop being so activated in relationships. What happens in relationships is that they shut down, they feel overwhelmed, and they need a survival exit, basically. And so when the relationship ends, they feel relieved. But they start to feel emotionally safer with that distance. They start to feel like maybe, on reflection, there were good things about you, about the situation, about the relationship. Often, avoidants tend to compare their current relationship to the last one, and they often look back at the last one more fondly than they expected that they would. Okay, so at the end of a relationship, they're often really telling themselves all the things about why it was absolutely not right for them. And whenever they meet someone new, there might be some kind of attraction, something good about the relationship, but they often really do look back at the last person and think, yeah, but this person isn't that level of connection. Because someone who's anxious offers them a level of connection to themselves that they might not have experienced before, because people who are anxious are more connected to their feelings, they're more connected to their discomfort, and that offers an avoidant an opportunity to do the same, which very often they reject. In the first instance, they reject it until they've met themselves so many times. Okay, so when they start to feel less threatened, when the stress of the relationship has died down, they start to feel safer in their own body. That's when they can look back and think, there was something there that I miss about this person, about this situation. The other big thing that shifts the dynamic is when you really do stop chasing and you actually start to focus on yourself, when you stop waiting. And you really have to stop waiting for somebody to meet you where you want to be met. You have to stop waiting because it's a present moment thing. You need it now. It's not something that you can put off for a relationship to work. So when you stop waiting and you actually start thinking, right, I'm done with this waiting, and you start thinking, I want someone who can be present with me now. That's what I need. So I cannot wait for this. It's now or it's not, basically. And when you start really going, okay, right, if I'm not going to focus on them, how can I focus on me? How can I fill my own cup? How can I actually go and have more fun? How can I be more with my friends? How can I do things that actually light me up again? How can I reconnect to the things that I didn't have time for anymore because I was so busy focusing on them? right? There are so many things. It's one of the things that I talk about in my groups, and there's always something that's been put on the back burner that you used to love, that you're not doing anymore because the relationship has warped all of your energy and taken it. So actually, when you start focusing on those things and investing in you in whatever way that feels good for you, that inspires you, there'll be something that you can think of doing that makes you go, yeah, really want to do that. Maybe it's a trip, maybe it's being with friends, maybe it's going to a festival or an event that you saw that really excites you. Anything that gives you a sense of your own identity and your sense of self that lights you up. These little things over time make you shine, make you vibrant, make you attractive, make you feel more like you. And you being you is the most attractive way that you can ever be. And often what happens in relationships is that people are drawn to you because you're being you, you're yourself. And then when you get intertwined with someone who is avoidant, you lessen yourself, you dull your own spark. And then you start to feel dependent on them to feel like you. But actually, you were always your most attractive when you were being yourself, when you were not dependent on them. So when you start actually depending on yourself again, and this isn't to say that dependence isn't something that we do need in relationships, because there needs to be a mutual level of dependence and trust in a relationship. But when it's a one-way street and it's not a two-way street, it doesn't work. So in this case, when you start focusing on yourself and really finding your sense of strength, your sense of identity again, this becomes the attractive thing that attracted them to you in the first place. At the end of the day, many avoidants come back when they look back and regret and see the fact that nobody else is giving them the same level of connection and investment and safety that you were. And that's when they start to think, maybe I lost someone that was really important to me. Maybe I should have listened to them when they were telling me what they needed. Maybe I shouldn't have shut them down. Maybe it was me, after all, that was creating the disconnect in the relationship. But it can take a lot of time and a lot of mistakes for an avoidant to realise there's something going on with me. And you can't wait for it. Like I said before, you cannot wait for this. This is just a timeline, kind of what happens with avoidance over time. And I've seen this many times with people who are much older. And you don't want to be somebody's regret, right? You don't need that. You don't want to be that. You want to be somebody's now, somebody's choice, somebody's I'm going to get out of my own way for you type of love, right? That's what you need. That's what you want. That's what you deserve. And honestly, that's what we're creating here. On this channel, it's all about creating the type of love that you're so proud of. Creating the type of boundaries that will allow that to happen in your life. Creating this type of inner strength, inner confidence that knows that you should accept no less than the type of love that everybody around you is so happy to see you in. The other time that avoidants come back, often at the beginning when they start feeling that discomfort and they start noticing that you're actually moving on and they don't like it because they're out of control, they might poke their head in. They might suggest doing something that's low commitment. They might send you a meme or a song but not actually try to heal the relationship. And all of this feels really deflating. But this is when an avoidant is, thinking that they miss you, they're feeling that discomfort, but they're not actually ready to do the work. And in those cases, the best thing to do is just ignore it. Because if you take the bait at this point, because that's what it is, it's like, do they still care about me? Do they still want me? Am I safe? Can I go back if I want? Right? That's the kind of bait it is. If you take the bait at that point, when they're throwing you a crumb, then you enable them to stay the same. And these kind of low-level, light-hearted, little mini conversations, which is what it starts out as, turn into this big conversation that goes round in circles, exactly where you were before. You need to see actual transformation. And that takes time. And it really is actually a shift that you can't ignore. You will know if an avoidant has really changed. You will know if they're ready because they will show up completely differently. It will not be the same way that it used to be. It will be like, oh, wow, okay, this is very different and I'm not doing it. I'm not doing any of the legwork. I'm not doing any of the chasing here. They're making me feel safe. They're doing what they can to show me that they have evolved. They're not rushing me. They're not pressuring me. There's no guilt tripping, there's no silent treatment, there's no gaslighting. It's completely different, right, when this happens. So I hope you found this video useful. If you'd like any more support, if you'd like to do some one-to-one with me, you can find out all the information about that in the link below. There is a 30% discount at the moment till the end of August. Use the code August30. I'd love to meet you, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.